The knock came at exactly midnight, sharp and unforgiving, slicing through the silence of a small apartment where exhaustion had long replaced hope. For weeks, his body had been running on borrowed strength, his mind stretched thin between deadlines and diapers, spreadsheets and sleepless nights. He never imagined that the person responsible for breaking him down piece by piece would be standing on the other side of his door at this hour, carrying more than just the weight of power, carrying regret. Before the story pulls you deeper, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and quiet miracles that arrive when we least expect them, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel Ripple of Kindness. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them most. He was a single father trying to survive, not dream. His mornings began before sunrise, packing lunches with tired hands, brushing small knots out of his child's hair, promising with a forced smile that everything would be okay. By day, he worked under relentless pressure at a powerful corporation, where perfection was demanded and mistakes were punished with longer hours. The billionaire CEO at the top of it all was known for her brilliance and her coldness. She pushed results without mercy, unaware or indifferent to the human cost beneath her success. For him, that cost was measured in missed school events, unanswered bedtime questions, and nights spent staring at the ceiling, wondering how long a man could keep going before something inside him finally broke. Weeks turned into a blur of coffee, stained reports, and aching silence. His child had started falling asleep on the couch waiting for him. The apartment felt emptier even when they were both there. He told himself it was temporary, that sacrifices were part of being a father, part of being a man who refused to quit. But the truth was quieter and more painful. He was drowning, and no one at work noticed. Or maybe they did, and it simply didn't matter. On the night everything changed, he came home later than usual, shoulders slumped, tie loosened, eyes hollow. His child was already asleep, a half-finished drawing on the table, clearly meant for him. He stood there for a long moment, breathing in the stillness, guilt pressing heavy on his chest. Just as he reached for the light switch, the knock came, not loud, not polite, just firm enough to demand attention. Midnight knocks never bring good news, he thought, as he opened the door. She stood there alone, unmistakable, and completely out of place in the dim hallway. The billionaire woman who had overworked him for weeks was no longer framed by glass walls and boardrooms. She looked smaller somehow, her confidence stripped down to something raw and human. The city lights behind her couldn't hide the exhaustion in her eyes. She hadn't come with assistants or drivers. She had come herself. And that alone said more than any apology ever could. He didn't speak, neither did she. The moment stretched, thick with everything unsaid. This was the woman who signed off on impossible deadlines, who sent emails at 2 a.m., who measured worth in numbers and outcomes. Yet here she was, standing at a single father's door, at the very hour when loneliness speaks the loudest. The silence between them carried weeks of pain, and something else too. Understanding, finally catching up. She had learned the truth too late. A chance conversation, a forgotten file, a child's name scribbled in the margins of a report. The realization that the man she had pushed hardest was holding his life together with frayed threads. She had seen herself in him, once ambitious, once driven, once alone. But unlike her, he had someone waiting at home who needed him whole, not broken. That realization haunted her, pulling her out of bed and to this door, because some mistakes don't wait for morning. Inside that small apartment, the air felt different, not lighter but honest. She saw the drawings on the fridge, the tiny shoes by the door, the quiet proof of a life far bigger than any corporate empire. For the first time in years, she felt the weight of responsibility not as power, but as impact. Success suddenly felt hollow if it came at the cost of someone else's humanity. He listened as she explained, not with anger, but with the tired grace of someone who had no energy left for resentment. He didn't need grand gestures, he needed to be seen, and in that moment he was, not as an employee, not as a resource, but as a father doing his best in a world that rarely slows down, Change didn't come overnight, but it began there. Workloads eased, boundaries were respected. More importantly, she changed too. She started asking questions, learning names, understanding lives beyond performance metrics. The company shifted slowly, imperfectly, but meaningfully. And he started coming home earlier, cooking dinner instead of reheating leftovers, reading bedtime stories without fighting sleep. Weeks later, he would think back to that midnight knock and realize it wasn't just an apology. It was a turning point. Proof that even the most powerful hearts can soften, that kindness doesn't always come dressed as comfort, and that sometimes the smallest doors open to the biggest transformations. As this story draws close, if it touched your heart even a little, if it reminded you that compassion can change lives, please take a moment to like, share, and engage with this video. Your interaction helps spread these stories of hope further than you might imagine. Before the ending, one special request. Please comment below with the words "Kindness matters" if you believe that empathy can heal even the deepest exhaustion, because sometimes all it takes to save a man on the edge is a knock at the door and the courage to show up when it truly matters.